So my mom left when I was 12. And 20 years later, I found myself a mom of four who was just figuring out how to care for textured hair. So when my mom left, I was 12, I was just entering puberty, my body was changing. It was just a lot going on and a really traumatic event. So she left my brother and I with a dad who was just an expert at domestic terrorism. It was hell. And in that house, my father hated when I would straighten my hair. But my mom left. My mom was used to take care of my hair and she just left and I had to figure it out. And I had no idea what to do with my naturally textured hair. And so if it wasn't relaxed, because the amount of times I would put a relaxer in my hair and have to cut it all off because it was breaking and unhealthy and start over, I've lost count. And so in between relaxers, when I would go natural, the only thing I knew how to do was to put a hot comb on the stove. So I'm dating myself, but oh well. Put a hot comb on the stove and fry my strands. Oh my God, I used to burn my hair, burn my ears, the back of my neck, my forehead. I didn't know what I was doing. And I had no idea how to retain moisture. So I used to use petroleum jelly, y'all. I used to use petroleum jelly on my hair. It was just a huge mess. Add to that, oh yeah, and so my dad didn't like me straightening my hair, so I remember I used to wait till he would leave the house. Sometimes my brother would watch the window, and I would run and hurry up and hot comb my hair on the stove. And then thankfully at that time, my grandma gifted me with an electric straightening comb, and that was that. So my dad, he hated to see it. So I never really learned how to care for hair. I knew how to make it look good because, again, my mom left at the most, how do I say? It's never a good time to leave your kids, but to leave when your daughter is 12, entering puberty and everything, and having all sorts of things going on with the body and peer pressure and just so much going on. It was just a terrible time to leave. And my father was emotionally volatile. And I just love my brother so much. So I was just I was protection in the house and always having a fight and look over my shoulder and listen out to hear, if the ogre was tearing up furniture again or felt like beating somebody and just always on edge. And so I just felt no control whatsoever over anything in my life, very few things. But the one thing I could control was my appearance. So I was so defiant and he hated my hair straight. So I would straighten it every chance I got. And I never really learned how to take care of my textured hair. Add to that, I was on swim team for like 7 years in a row, and I love swim team. Me and my brother were on swim team, and we would be at the pool from morning practice during the summer, which started at 7:30, play all day at the pool, like live on chips and snacks that were available at the pool, little store at the pool. And then we would literally stay through evening practice that started at 7:30 at night and ran through 9. So when I say my melanin was popping, y'all, my melanin was popping. And guess what else? My hair was cracking because it was so brittle. The chlorine and the sun would fry my hair because I did not know how to care for it. I didn't know not to wash it every day, not to use harsh cleansers every day after every practice. I didn't know that it would suffice to just rinse the chlorine out and then cleanse maybe weekly. I didn't know that after, I wash my hair, I should condition every time. And I didn't know about the LOC, the liquid oil cream method to maintain moisture levels and elasticity in my hair. I didn't know about any of that. And sometimes I would be so overwhelmed with caring for my textured hair because remember, my mom had left. I didn't have anyone to do my hair. I didn't have any money to go to the salon. It was me. I had to figure it out. So I would be so overwhelmed with trying to care for this foreign matter that was coming out of my scalp that I would relax my hair during swim season. And so I don't know how many of y'all have been on, swim team or spent a whole lot of time at the pool, but like the blonde girl's hair would turn green from spending so much time at the pool. The algae would start to grow in it. Pool head, like it's a real thing. The brunette girls, our hair would turn orange and it would turn to straw. So when the seasons that I would have like relaxers in, oh my God, I would literally have to cut my hair down to the wick and start over. And this was in the 80s and 90s where nobody was natural unless you were like a 2C and maybe a loose 3A. You ain't wear your hair natural. We didn't know about any wash and goes, and I didn't even know how to detangle my hair, much less, keep it moisturized and healthy. I had no idea. And so I was living fast and running from home and running from everything. And so I ended up having 3 girls, 1 boy. Every kid has a totally different hair texture than the other one. We are each unique. We each have a unique hair texture. And add to that, we all have at least 2 hair textures on our head. As a many textured hair people learn, it's very common to have multiple textures on one head. So like myself, I tend to have low porosity hair right here, lower porosity, tighter curl, hair in the middle of my head. It's more like at the top, middle of my hair. And then the rest of my hair is a higher porosity, slightly looser curl. Like it's so normal to have different hair textures on a single hair. And so long story short, I have these 4 beautiful kids. We all have different hair textures. I ain't got no money to be buying a whole bunch of products to find something, products that would work for each of us. Because, like, nothing I found retained moisture for all of us. It will work for, like, a product might work moderately well for one head in the house, but will cause the other hair to just break off. One product can be absorbed by one head, but just literally sits on top of the other head. So it was quite the ordeal, and my babies were my guinea pigs. And just like myself, I would find myself always having to, because their ends would be tore up. I didn't know how to properly detangle. Hair days were just full of tears because 2 of my kids are super, 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 have super tender scalps. And I didn't know what I was doing. So hair day was quite the ordeal, grab the tissues because there was going to be some tears because I did not know what I was doing. And so after years of searching for products and techniques and talking to different women, because what I noticed was, I'm like, you know what? I had thought, what I had heard was Black people can't grow hair. And I believed it. I falsely believed it. Unless I spent a lot of money to go to the salon, I could never even reach bra strap length, much less waist length. And I did chop quite a bit of my hair off recently. I chopped off about 5 inches because it was just becoming a lot. But I did finally achieve my goal of waist length hair. But at that time, I didn't think it was possible. And I remember I stumbled upon a Dominican salon and I was like, what you mean that's not a weave? All these women with waist length and longer hair, every texture. Like I learned, like, you don't have to be a 2 or a 3 type hair to have long, healthy hair. There was some 4Cs up in there, and their hair was longer and healthier than mine, and I was fascinated. And then, I was, like I said, was living in a super diverse area, so I started talking to the Dominicans, asking, like, what do y'all do? I started talking to the Ethiopians and the Eritreans and the East African sisters, the Tanzanians, like, how do y'all grow your hair so healthy and long? And then I even spoke to the Indian community because I learned that several of them, a lot of them have textured hair as well. It's looser curls sometimes, but they have textured hair as well. And I'm like, how do y'all keep it so long and healthy and moisturized? And so it took over a decade of mixing researching like what the different ingredients do, how they impact porosity, or I'm sorry, elasticity and moisture retention and length retention. You know, I pray a lot, I meditate a lot, so like some ingredients would just pop in my mind during those times, and I would look them up and Google them, and lo and behold, they do have moisture retention properties. And you know, this oil, the molecule is small enough to be absorbed in even the tightest porosity hair. And you know, this oil has some heat protectant qualities, and this one helps to stimulate the scalp, and this you know, locks in moisture. So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of research, and as a result, I finally landed on the formulas for our flagship product, which is our Metamorphosis um, scalp and hair therapy oil, and then its sister product, which is our Metamorphosis Moisture Lock Pomade. And those are the two products I use for my LOC, my lock method, and retaining moisture in my hair and in my kids' hair. And so, after developing these formulas, my eldest noticed, she's like, Mommy, a lot of people, you know, they have these wonderful products, but there's still a learning curve. A lot of people have no idea how to style or care for textured hair. It was to the point that, so me and her started going out and giving workshops, and especially working with like foster care organizations and working with teens who are about to age out and have to care for their hair for the first time, many of them, or you know, young adults who are going to college and about to care for their hair for the first time, or heck, even non-Black moms and dads and caregivers who were taking Black kids and kids with textured hair into their homes, and they were just at a loss, you know, on what to do with the hair. And I grew up in a super diverse area, Montgomery County, Maryland, and there's so many transracial families, blended families, you know, white moms, Latino moms with Black kids, Asian moms with Black kids, and they don't know what to do with the hair. And so, you know, I remember what it was like to be a parent who had no idea what to do with my kids' hair. And I remember the frustration I felt and the shame I felt sometimes that I couldn't even, you know, make my baby's hair healthy. I felt awful about myself sometimes. And it dawned on me like, I'm Black. I've been Black my whole life. And I was raised by women and men who were Black their whole lives. And none of us ever really knew how to take care of textured hair. And if me, who've been Black my whole life, didn't know what to do, didn't have any, you know, real idea how to create healthy textured hair, I can only imagine, you know, what it's like for a non-Black mom to suddenly find herself caring for textured hair and just feeling lost and alone and all those things I felt, but probably amped up. You know, it's a lot. And so my eldest was like, Mommy, we need to start teaching people how to care for textured hair. And that's how WeUnik University was launched. Because, you know, I was y'all. You know, I was that young girl who had to figure it out. I was the parent who had to figure it out. And unlike y'all, I did not have a textured hair care hub like you guys have in WeUnik World. I had to just figure it out. You know, this was before everyone was, you know, popping their curls. This was before we even knew what definition was. This was a time when I thought that there was textured hair that didn't curl. You know, over time, now I know we all got curls. It's just some hair types may take a little more coaxing to get the curls out, but we all got curls. You know, I thought Black people couldn't grow hair. I thought long hair was chin length or shoulder length, you know? I thought it was normal to have to cut a bunch of hair off because of damage, not because of styling, you know it's going to grow back, but because of damage, because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I know there's so many people out there who have the same, you know, challenges. And this is why, you know, WeUnik World, WeUnik University, the whole family, it's a passion project because I was y'all. And so that's why we're here. That's why WeUnik was born. because no kid should be shamed for their hair texture. And no parent should feel alone in caring for the textured hair. No parent should feel lost, or no caregiver should feel lost. And I want to dispel the myth that it's hard to take care of natural textured hair. That's not true. It's hard when you don't know what you're doing. It's hard when you don't know. But when you know the routines and the tools and the products to use, it's very easy. Actually, it's much easier to take care of healthy natural hair than unhealthy any hair. And so that brings us to my shirt. This is I love this shirt. Every time I wear it, I call it my lucky shirt. I always get like discounts and stuff. I get special treatment when I wear it because this is real. All hair is good hair, especially when it's healthy. I'm here to dispel the myth that there's such a thing as good hair and bad hair. Even loose textured hair can be considered bad hair if it's unhealthy. All hair, if not properly maintained, is bad hair, and all hair, when properly maintained and healthy, is good hair. And so if you're interested in buying one of our shirts, check out the shirt, a link to our merch in the description below. Also, if you are a parent who, like myself, was, traversing this landscape of textured hair care alone, and you feel alone and you want support, and you feel information overload with there's so much information, like how do you know what works for you and your family? I invite you to check out WeUnik University, because we have spent years researching. This is tried and true advice that we teach in digestible chunks. Our WeUnik University classes include demos. We are building a community. We are available to answer your questions, and it's just a safe space for all things textured hair. And I just want to welcome you. And yeah, also be sure to download, and the link is in the description below. Download the Confused Parent's Guide to Textured Hair. It'll really help you. It's a free to download, and yeah, love y'all.